Hey there folks, Wrel here. In the background you'll see some gameplay from PlanetSide 2 as I share some thoughts on better gaming. It's kind of interesting to see a resurgence in hardcore and roguelike games that have more severe penalties for screwing up. Dark Souls, for example, has sparse checkpoints, so you could spend 15 minutes getting to the boss and then you die, and then you have to do it all over again, and over again, and over again until you get it right. To some people it's a waste of time, and to others it makes the reward that much sweeter. Now personally, I'm not so much a fan of masochism, but I do think that the distinction is worth commenting on. What do you value more? Is it the experience or the reward at the end? These two are not mutually exclusive, but I can remember many times where I preferred one over the other. In RPGs, for example, I don't like to grind out levels or gear before moving on to the next area. I'd much rather just deal with the challenge that it poses so that I can continue on with the storyline. And because of that, I'd straight up ignore bosses like Emerald Weapon or Ruby Weapon from Final Fantasy VII, because to me the value just wasn't in the gameplay as much as it was in the story. This likely has to do with my player archetype though, because I'm more of an explorer than an achiever. If we flip the script a little bit and think about PlanetSide 2, which is a game without any meaningful progression, weapons are mainly side grades, upgrades don't surpass a dependency on player skill, the enjoyment of the experience is primarily focused around the gameplay, and that's what I keep coming back for. That's where I find the value. The reason that I think this is even worth mentioning is because a question that constantly comes up nowadays is, why aren't you burnt out? And I think a lot of this actually mirrors back to our expectations of what the game should be to us. If I'm more reward oriented, I'll probably burn out more quickly because it's taking too long to unlock something. If I'm more experience oriented, then it'll probably take me longer to burn out. Maybe the game is just now finally letting me down because there haven't been big changes to the meta in a while. Now burnout isn't really something you avoid, it's more something that you manage. And the trick here, the practice, both in-game and in life, is to learn to enjoy the process. Because I am burnt out in many respects, but I also know how to reinvent the experience, and I don't force myself to play it. PlanetSide 2 in particular is a game where you can, on a whim, change your playstyle and do something completely new and exciting. I think that most players tend to stick to some very specific playstyles, and if they don't see the game grow and change around those preferred playstyles, they become angry and then they become disinterested and then they eventually just walk away. But if you don't stay malleable, then you get worn down. Honestly, for a video game, this is fine. We primarily play games for enjoyment, so if something isn't fun to you anymore, you shouldn't be forced to change your playstyles just to spice things up. But the lesson pertains a lot to real life. If you think about the last job you worked, or maybe the last year you spent in school, when you first start out, things are new, they're fun, and then eventually, sooner or later, they wear on you. It may get to the point where you just dread going to work or school each and every day, and I've certainly called in sick a few times to stay home with World of Warcraft, but what if you could reinvent your day-to-day? Maybe care about waking up and even be excited to go to work or go to class. The challenge here would be to first know yourself, and then you figure out how. If you're a very reward-oriented person outside of the game as well, then you look for rewards each and every day. Maybe it's that today you're going to be making X amount of money, which moves you toward Y goal. If you're an experience-oriented person, maybe you look for room to grow. Each minute of life can be viewed as an opportunity to better yourself, to learn something new. You may be going to the same job, going to the same class, or even playing the same game, but the way we decide to move through life can be completely new from moment to moment, provided we learn how to enjoy the process. If this video has been interesting, helpful, or entertaining, please feel free to like, subscribe, tell your friends about the channel. And I know that this was definitely a roundabout way to get to my point, but hopefully it can serve as a reminder to value our time each day. I certainly need one from time to time. Thanks very much, folks. Wrel signing off.